everyone and welcome back to our podcast.
Hi everyone, we are really excited about today's episode because we are talking about one of the most famous and impressive landmarks in Bucharest.
Today we're exploring the Palace of Parliament. The Palace of the Parliament is not just a building, it is a powerful symbol of Romania's past. It was built during the 1980s during the communist leader Nicolae Ceausescu.
The project was extremely ambitious. Construction officially began in 1984 and involved more than 20,000 workers along with hundreds of architects and engineers.
One of the most shocking aspects in order to build it, a large part of Bucharest was demolished. Entire neighborhoods, including houses, churches, and historical buildings, were destroyed.
That's why the palace is often seen as controversial. While it is impressive, it also represents a difficult period in Romania's history.
From an architectural point of view, the building is absolutely massive. It has over 1,000 rooms and covers around 365,000 square meters.
It is also considered one of the largest administrative buildings in the world and even the heaviest, which makes it unique on a global scale.
Another interesting detail is that almost everything used to build it comes from Romania: marble, woods, carpets, and even the crystal used for the chandeliers.
Inside the building is just as impressive. It includes enormous halls, long corridors, grand staircases, and some of the largest chandeliers in Europe.
And what I find fascinating in that many rooms are decorated in different styles, combining classical and monumental elements.
Another interesting fact is how fast the building was constructed, considering its size. Work continued day and night for several years.
Yes, and thousands of workers were involved, many of them working under very difficult conditions.
There are also many less known details, like the fact that the building has underground levels, including tunnels that are still not fully explored or accessible.
That definitely adds a sense of mystery to the palace. Today, the Palace of Parliament has a completely different role compared to its original purpose.
Exactly, it is now the official seat of the Romanian Parliament, where the country's most important political decisions are made.
It hosts both the Chamber of Deputies and the Senate, which makes it a central institution in Romania's democratic system.
But its roles goes beyond politics. The building is also used for international conferences, official meetings, and large-scale events that bring together representatives from the different countries.
In addition, parts of the palace are open to visitors, which means it has also become an important tourist attraction.
Yes, guided tours allow people to explore some of the most impressive halls and learn more about the history behind the building.
There are also exhibitions, cultural events, and even art displays organized inside, which shows that the space is used in a more open and accessible way today.
That's interesting how a building that was once associated with control and power is now used in a more transparent public way.
And I think that transformation says a lot about how Romania has changed over time.
What makes this place truly interesting is how people feel about it.
Yes, because reactions are often very different. Some people see it as an incredible architectural achievement,
while others associate it with the sacrifice and the difficult realities of the communist period.
And I think that this mix of admiration and criticism is what gives the palace its unique identity.
Of course, the best way to understand this building is to see it in real life.
And luckily, Mara is right there to give us a better perspective.
Mara, can you hear us? Tell us what atmosphere is like.
Hello everyone, Mara here, reporting from the Palace of Parliament. This is one of the most impressive buildings you can see in Romania, mainly because of its enormous size. It is considered one of the largest administrative buildings in the world, and that becomes very clear the moment you see it in real life. It was built during the 1980s under Nicolae Ceausescu, and it remains one of the most important symbols of that period. Thousands of workers were involved in its construction, and most of materials used were from Romania. What makes this building truly interesting is the contrast it represents. On one hand, it is an architectural achievement, but on the other, it is often associated with a difficult chapter in the country's history. The building is even more remarkable because of the details behind its construction. The palace has over 1,000 rooms and is considered the heaviest building in the world. Most of materials used, including marble, wood and carpets, come from Romania, which adds to its national significance. Inside there are massive halls, impressive chandeliers and handcrafted decorations, all designed to reflect power and grandeur. However, despite its architectural value, the building remains a controversial symbol as it is strongly connected to the communist period and Nicolae Ceausescu regime. Standing here, you really get a sense of both its grandeur and its historical weight.
That sounds really impressive.
Yes, it definitely helps us imagine the scale and the presence of the building much better.
Thank you, Mara, for all these details. It really gave us a clear picture.
The Palace of the Parliament is more than just a building.
It is a place where history, politics, architecture, and even emotion come together.
What makes it truly unique in the contrast it represents between past and the present, between power and people.
On one hand, it is impressive because of its size, design, and the effort that went into building it.
On the other hand, it reminds us of a difficult period in history, which makes it a more complex and meaningful place.
And maybe that is exactly why it continues to attract so many visitors, not just because it is large or beautiful, but because it tells a story.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode.
We hope you enjoy learning more about this fascinating place.
Thank you so much for listening. See you in the next episode.
Bye everyone!
Bye!